Yum Yum is saying, don't drink anything,
Don't touch anything.
don't drink nothing, don't touch nothing.
Exactly.
They all became Black parents at that point. Like,
Exactly. At the store. Drink nothing, don't touch nothing, don't even look at nothing. You know what I'm saying? What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Shows with the Zoes, where we break down our favorite episodes from some of our favorite shows. The show that we're breaking down is Traitors, Season 4, Episode 7. I got a lot to talk about, but babe, let me know your thoughts.
oh my goodness. My first thoughts are this show is stressful to me. I want to root for Candace, but I feel like, I don't know, Candace is making some moves that I don't know that I agree with.
Yeah. I really feel like that the producers of the show this season set it up for certain people to win.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yes.
This is the most important, I guess, daily challenge in a sense, where the dagger is on the line. Why is it a physical fitness type challenge? That favors Colton and Rob. That favors the most physically fit people. And then, okay, you can say, okay, well, there was a twist at the end. But no, say if it was a puzzle or something to where it's like you have to use your mind more so.
An equalizer.
Yeah, an equalizer. And, and had that from the jump, more people, it could have been a different six that's in there. But, production is what it is. So I think that was, honestly total bullshit. The round table, Candace, I think you made a bold move. You made a bold move. I think you're setting up for some traitor on traitor violence. I think that you're seeing that as a sinking turret. So you're gonna blow the whole thing
torpedoed. Up. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if we say anything in the video that you like. So let's get right into it. So if you remember from last week, someone is to be murdered in plain sight. Lisa is going to wear the amulet, and anyone who touches the amulet will be murdered. So my first thoughts were, one, why would Lisa volunteer to wear it?
Yeah, I mean, she's giving herself up. She's. But if you think about it, Lisa has totally switched her game, right? She was playing in the background, and people are like, "Oh, well, Lisa's a traitor because she's playing in the background. She's so quiet." So I guess now Lisa's like, "Okay, I'm about to get in that field. I'm about to show them what's up."
But that's very traitorous of her to do so. That's number one. Number two, how's she going to do it? Because the thing is, again, the heat is already on Lisa. So my question again is, how is Lisa going to do this? All right, so we come into the banquet. Everyone is already on high alert, which again, how is she going to do this? Yum Yum is saying, don't drink anything,
don't touch anything,
don't drink nothing, don't touch nothing.
Exactly.
They all became Black parents at that point.
Like, exactly. At the store, drink nothing, don't touch nothing, don't even look at nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Keep your hands in your pockets.
Okay. So Lisa comes in her matador outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I will say for this event, this late night dinner, the cast put it on. You know what I'm saying? They were dressed really nice. Even your girl Natalie, her dress was, even though it looked like it was made of dog tags from the military, it looked pretty good. You had Candace dressed as the Black Medusa with snakes everywhere, necklaces, bracelets, rings. It was kind of throwing me off, I'm not gonna lie. But my favorite outfit had to go to our girl Mora. I think she had a Mortal Kombat themed Kung Lao hat. That shit was, it was fire to me. It was fire to me.
Colton looked a mess, is all that I remember. He looked a mess. The pearl bracelet shirt situation, hated it. The one earring, hated it. The crown, hated it. Colton, you guessed it. All right. So Lisa comes in and she kind of tells us about her shortlist. So her shortlist is Yam Yam, Natalie, and Kristen.
Which was interesting to me that Kristen was on her shortlist.
Why? Was it what?
Because Kristen has kind of played in the background. I think Kristen hasn't made too much noise, but I think she's somebody that has influence. And I didn't think Lisa was kind of catching on. I didn't think Kristen was on Lisa's radar, is what I'm trying to say.
I think that Lisa realizes that Kristen is, like you said, has influence, but is also very smart and observant. And she's one of those people who's not just throwing shots in the dark. So I think that when she says something, it holds weight with these faithful, which I think anybody can say anything and it holds weight with these faithful.
Exactly.
Like, they're so wishy-washy, it's nuts. So I think the way that Lisa did it, she did it pretty well. So what she does is she pretends that the amulet is stabbing her.
Yes.
And she's like, ow, 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 like, help me.
Help me. And Jam is, oh, I got you. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's very smart, very smart. But you do kind of see more in the back, just like, oh, interesting. Taking mental notes.
Yes. So Alan comes in with his two henchmen and he tells them of the legend of the Black Dinner. So Alan lets them know at this very banquet the traitors have cursed one of you to death. He brings two potions, two
Mhm.
vials of a potion, and two faithful are able to drink from the potion to revive themselves in the event that one of them was murdered in plain sight. So the people who want to drink from the potion are Natalie, Kristen, and Tara. um, Tara and Natalie start to kind of like fight over it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You saw Ninja Natalie, come out, and Tara was really defending herself. And I thought it was honestly, I thought it was an interesting twist, another interesting twist that
Mhm.
the production has put into the game, that's trying to take and make the trader's job a whole lot harder. It's hard
Yes,
enough to murder somebody in plain sight, but not only to do that, but then give that person who was murdered the opportunity to save themselves,
yeah,
and assuming that in front of everybody, they're gonna know that they were saved, and
exactly.
murder gives them ammo. Like, that's
Yes,
crazy to me.
I
That
I
is crazy.
I think this is something that kind of rigs the game towards the faithful, which I
Yeah.
think that we've been asking for a little bit, but I don't like this. And maybe if I like the faithful more, I would. I'm a little bit biased. It is what it is. So Alan walks around and is basically playing duck duck goose.
Exactly.
Alan said, "You are not murdered. You are not murdered." You, and suddenly stops at Yam Yam and said, "You, it is you." So we find out that Yam Yam was one who's murdered. Again, Lisa faked like the pin was sticking her and asked Yam Yam for help. He helps her, which in doing so, touched the amulet,
Mhm.
and that is how he was murdered.
Yeah, but not only that, like, not only that, it wasn't a glorious, exit out. Like, they yanked my man's chair,
Oh,
pulled him out
oh,
like the bad
listen,
student in class, and Yam Yam was yelling, "It was Lisa! It was Lisa! She kissed me! She kissed me!"
yeah,
Face,
man,
a real kiss, not the air kiss. Lisa's just like,
yeah, and this
whoa.
is why I don't enjoy that they did this in front of everyone
Yeah,
because it allows for the traitors to be kind of caught more easily, which
yeah.
I guess is the point of the game. But I'm generally when I'm watching the show rooting for the traitors. So again, I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, I think it's easier from a trader standpoint to find out at breakfast. Let's find out at breakfast. Don't have the faithful
Yes,
go home and get that letter on that chair.
no, honestly,
Let them get that letter on that chair.
and I think that with this, Yam Yam was wrong. He was right in the person who did it, but he was wrong in the reasons why he thought that. Because he was saying that he thinks that Lisa kissed him, which maybe she did, but
Yeah,
obviously that's not the way that he ended up dying. So I thought that was interesting. Like a broken clock is wrong twice today,
exactly.
essentially. All right, so it is the next day. We're now at breakfast. The traders are the first into the room and they're discussing their plan for the day. Rob basically says that he's going to sit back and do nothing. Rob, who, if you remember last week, just voted for Lisa.
Exactly. So there is no sit back and do nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Like
makes no
now it's like
sense.
you're either going to do damage control or you're going to have to pretty much add to what you've already done. We know in our heads, like, okay, he's just going to add to what he's already done.
Exactly.
Like,
Like, he's rolling with Colton and the boys. They're
yeah,
click. There's a band, and Colton is already thinking Lisa's name.
yeah,
And he, to your point, he just voted for Lisa. What's stopping him from changing? And really, why jump on a sinking ship? Like, Rob, I'm with
honestly,
you when you're right. You're right in this
honestly.
in this sense. Why jump on a sinking ship and really defend the person who you just voted for the previous day?
Yeah, I think that he knows that if he sticks up for Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty good chance that it's gonna look bad on him.
Yeah,
So I think that again, to me, this is a smart move on Rob's part. I really wish that Candace would follow suit because
she's slipping, and you
she's
could
acting like she's the captain of the ship going down with it.
and you could tell by that breakfast conversation they weren't really cooperative with Rob. They were basically telling him what he's gonna do.
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
trying
and
to anyway.
and Rob took it as, okay. I already voted for you. Like, what's the
Yeah,
worst you're gonna do? You're not gonna get the numbers to flip for me.
yeah. I
So
think that we're seeing Rob kind of get a little bit cockier, and I think that I don't like that. Quite frankly, I don't like that. So Eric comes in and he says that he's suspicious of Natalie because she drank the potion last night, even though she seemingly was not really up for murder in Eric's eyes. Um, for the first time, Steven has a little bit of heat on him because Steven,
Yeah.
was one of the ones who they're saying cut the turkey. And so they're thinking that maybe, Steven was a traitor.
Yes, they said Steve was out there handing out them death plates, so murder on the platter, and so
Yeah.
but it's Steven. He's been playing in the background, and so him coming, into the day from a standpoint of, hey, I got to get the heat off my name. It's time for me to get activated in the game from trying to help people out. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so at this point, Colton mentioned that Yam Yam said Lisa's name. He says that he does not feel the need to dogpile on Lisa because, girl, we see where the cars are going, baby. Like, I
Exactly.
don't even have to say anything because Yam Yam said everything for me. So Mark says to Johnny, "Are you ready to have a Natalie conversation?" Because again, because Natalie was so strong and wanting to drink the potion,
Yeah.
they're all thinking like, okay, well maybe it's Natalie because maybe as a traitor she wanted to take the potion away from a faithful who could have gotten the potion. What do you think about this turn?
I think that it makes sense, in a game to where any little thing that's off can throw somebody, throw suspicion on somebody. I think that the way Natalie did it, it wasn't a graceful
It was very
conversation.
strong.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was,
it was very
they
strong
were
arm.
both literally tugging a war from it. Like, hey, I want the potion. I want the potion. And so I think that whoever was on the losing end in that instance won, and that was Tara. Like Tara looks like the wounded sheep, in the sense, and Natalie looks like the big bad wolf that took the potion away from her. And if I'm a traitor, it's actually a smart move.
Yeah. So Candace and Colson are having a conversation after breakfast, and Candace says to Colson that she feels more strongly about Natalie than Lisa at this point.
Yeah,
And I again have to look at Candace and say, "Girl, why are you going down with this sinking ship?" She almost got banished last week.
yeah.
She had 4 votes last week, so you know where the cards are kind of starting to stack themselves. So why not unalign yourself with her? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and why say that in a room full of people that just voted her last week?
Exactly. Why would you say it's a Colton of all people? To me, I wouldn't even be talking to Colton if I'm
Yeah,
honest, because to me, any conversation that I have with him, I'm thinking that he's going to be using that as ammunition to get me out. To
yeah.
be completely honest, I'm not even talking to that man.
And if you do, you have to be strategic about it. Like,
Yeah.
you can say, "Oh, I didn't think about Lisa like that," or I was on Natalie, but that is a good point. That's
Yes.
something I got to keep in my
Which
back
is how
pocket.
Rob played it.
Yeah, you have to kind of play it from a standpoint of, this is my main person, but that is also a good point. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind, and I'll play it out throughout the rest of the day. You got to play it from that perspective, because if you are so gung ho defending a traitor that's about to get caught and it's super obvious that that's about to happen next, come on now, you
Yeah.
just look that much more guilty.
Yeah, you look bad. Guilty by association. All right, so Tara and Natalie sit down and have a conversation. And Tara feels like Natalie's a traitor for taking the potion. Kind of the same thing that everyone's kind of feeling at this point. During this conversation, Lisa comes in
Mm-hmm.
and Natalie says, "We killed one. We murdered one." So she's saying language like, "We killed so and so,
Yeah,
we murdered so and so." And Lisa obviously hears this. Tara hears it, but I don't know if she's really clocking
she ain't
what she
resting.
said. Yeah. And to me, at this point, I'm like, okay, y'all have to get Natalie out because that's the reason Portia left.
Same reason.
Where is Ron when you need him?
Exactly. Where is Ron? If they voted him out last week, so where's Ron when you need him? And not only that, man, I think the interesting point was, I think Lisa was probably thinking, "Nah, I did that. When I did the murders, not you."
She's very conceited
Yeah,
that way. She
yeah,
probably
very
was.
conceited that way. Started smiling. Oh, I got something I can take to the round table.
Mhm.
I got me a little
Yes.
point.
Yes. Yeah. So then we cut to a scene where Rob is talking to Steven, Mara, and Mark. And he starts to, I think this is kind of where we see the tides turning, where
Yeah.
Rob is going full force towards Lisa at this point.
Mhm.
So he says, anytime the two people have different versions of a story, somebody is lying.
Obviously.
Obviously,
Obviously.
there's three sides to the truth. But I think again, Rob is going full force at Lisa, and I don't know how I feel about
He's
it.
not hiding it. I think he was rubbed the wrong way based on that breakfast conversation, and he took that as, hey, well, I guess it's me versus y'all, and I'm not about to be defending Lisa. I'm gonna throw dirt at her name.
And that he does.
That he did. That he did.
So we are now at the mission,
Mhm.
and their mission is to reach the summit and collect as much gold as possible. The person who collects most gold is given the dagger, which gives him the power of 2 votes, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's
At this
crazy.
point, the house is pretty divided.
Yeah, it's two sides. It's two sides, and having the opportunity to have your vote double, man, that's game changing.
And especially because the two sides are kind of like Candace, Johnny, Tara, and Colton, Rob, Mora.
Yeah,
Like it's
you
kind of
got floater Mark.
yeah. Those are kind of the two camps. You have people in between, but that's kind of the voting lines there. So this dagger can only be used once um, in the next 4 round tables. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see who gets that. So they're going up the hill, and obviously this challenge really favors the guys. If
Yeah,
we're being honest, the gold is heavy, the hill is steep. What is Lisa Rinna? What's Dorinda doing?
exactly.
You know,
What's Lisa doing? What's Candace doing?
truly,
Tara's, she's doing
she's an
okay.
Olympian.
Kristen is doing okay, but then once they get and think about this, they started with gold or stones in their bag. So it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they started with an empty bag so they can use all their energy to run up a hill. They had to take some weight up that hill. So that's
Yeah.
gonna cut into some of that time.
So they come to a point where they're able to use the gold from their bags to hit golden urns that are hung up on strings. If they hit the urns, they get 20 pieces of gold. The only issue is if they miss, you now are down a piece of gold.
Exactly.
So Colton and Rob spend a lot of their time trying to hit the gold, and I think that it ends up paying off.
Yeah, it was an effective strategy. Not only were they trying to hit him, like Rob was diming him up.
Yeah.
He was hitting just about all the little vessels or whatever they were, and I think that was a great strategy by those two.
Yeah, considering that they were actually able to hit them. Yeah, I agree with that. So we see a moment between Colton and Rob where Rob says that his bag is a little bit too heavy.
Yeah,
Colton's strong ass says, "Let me hold that for you because I think that there's probably going to be a moment where you are carrying me." So what did you think about this
yeah. I
moment
thought
of
that was.
camaraderie?
I thought the bromance brewing was interesting based on the comment that Colton had. I think that you will carry me. Knowing the conversation that Colton had with Lisa last week, I'm thinking, hey, does
Hmm.
Colton have any
Hmm.
indication to think that Rob is a traitor and that Rob is his, or that Colton is,
Rob is Colton's traitor
yeah,
angel.
yeah, Rob is Colton's traitor angel?
Interesting. Good.
That's what I
Interesting.
thought when I first heard it.
Interesting. Okay, so they get to the top, and Lisa gives her gold to Steven, which Colton and his spidey senses immediately thinks
Exactly.
is suspect. But it's like Lisa wasn't going to win anyway. You might as well give your gold to somebody that you trust. But
Air quotes
whatever.
on round trust.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So the 6 players who have the most gold are Natalie, Rob, Colton, Steven, Eric, and Mark. So these with Rob being the number 1 player.
Right.
So I'm thinking at this point that Rob is going to get the dagger.
Yeah,
But
obviously.
instead they play some stupid ass game.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I think that they tried to, even the odds, like, hey, maybe let's not give it to the person who's the strongest. Let's add another element. Let's see if he's a mind reader as well.
Stupid. Okay. Which it ended up working out in Rob's favor, but I kind of thought that was a little bit dumb. So the way that they did it is the 5 players who are not Rob have a stone tablet that has either an X or has a picture of the dagger on it. Rob is able to question each of the 5 players to decide who has the dagger on their tablet. So long story short, Rob asked all them questions, and I think that his strategy was kind of smart.
It was effective.
He asked them normal questions: "What's your name? What's your birthday?" And then he asked, "Do you have the dagger?" He is able to pinpoint that Natalie is lying,
Exactly. Red for filth.
and so he ends up getting Natalie's dagger, which you know,
I think Natalie, in that moment, just should have been 21 Savage. She should have put the dagger on her face because you could just read her that she had the dagger. And I thought it was just easy. Like, I don't think that Rob took much time, and maybe it's just because of the edit, but it was like, yeah, it's Natalie. It's you.
yeah,
It's you.
yeah. So after they get back from the challenge, the mission, the 6 players who were playing for the dagger all agreed that okay, we're not going to tell anybody that we have the dagger because that's going to put a target on their backs, which is smart. This is Rob's idea. Rob,
Exactly.
again, who was a traitor. So to me, Rob is playing a very faithful game, which I think is very useful to him.
Yeah, I think Rob is trying to play the game of Harry. From a UK a couple seasons ago, just trying to position himself kind of as what Colton is,
Yeah,
King Faithful in a
he is
sense,
King Faithful right now.
and hey, let's huddle up. Hey, we're not gonna tell anybody that it's me with the dagger.
Hmm. So at the house, Candace is kind of whipping boats for Natalie
Mm-hmm.
in Lisa's favor. What did you think about this? Because I'm disappointed in Candace and her
Yeah, I'm
family.
disappointed in Candace. I thought and hoped that Candace had learned her lesson from some of the earlier episodes when, just doing some of the things she was doing, but now she's back to her old ways. And I think that what Candace is not taking into account is eventually Lisa's name is too hot. Too many people
Yes,
have wrote her name down, so eventually she's gonna get voted out. And if you
absolutely.
are the person
Who's
protecting
defending
a
her?
traitor, you look more like a traitor. You need to protect the person who has not had anyone say their name or anybody write their name down.
Yeah,
That's my thing. It's like I'm all for protecting our fellow traders, but at what cost? You can't throw
yeah,
your game. And I feel like that's what you're doing.
for sure. So we are now at the round table. Candace is saying that she's done her best to keep Lisa out of the hot seat. And at this point, I just have to say, Candace, girl, be quiet.
Yeah, please shut up. That was my thing. As people were talking, I was just hoping the next voice is not Candace.
Yes. So Lisa starts us off, thank God, because I really thought this was going to be Candace. And again, you're blowing up your own spot.
Exactly.
It's really crazy to me. For Lisa, no less.
For Lisa.
Crazy. So Lisa says, you said something I can't let go of, speaking to Natalie. You said, when we murdered. And again, I have to say, Portia did not get that same grace.
She did.
Portia, who we all know is a little bit dense, made the same mistake, made the same slip up of, oh yeah, we murdered so and so. So again, it's interesting to see who gets the grace and who doesn't. Natalie says, you're just coming at me because you don't want to go home, which
Duh.
fair. Not wrong.
Not wrong.
Johnny kind of steers the conversation and said, Natalie fought for the antidote, even though they both couldn't be murdered because they both had the same piece of turkey. So I think that he again is using that to say, girl, it wasn't you. You knew that. So that to me feels traitorous. Colton, of course, pipes up and says, I want to talk about Yam Yam. So Lisa kind of is saying, well, Yam Yam just brought up my name because the heat was already on me.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, he just thought that he was correct in saying that that I killed him. Moira at this point says she did kiss him. She being Lisa did kiss Yam Yam, and
yeah, it's crazy. But to Lisa's saving grace, Dorinda was like,
yes,
nah, she ain't kissed. She air kissed.
yes,
She air kissed me. And then your girl Candace, another lifeline. She air kissed me as well. Me too.
yeah. It's really crazy, but I think that Candace's lifeline is that Dorinda, who is also a
Yeah.
housewife, is also defending Lisa. So it doesn't look as suspicious that she's defending Lisa to her dying breath, but we'll see how that ends
Yeah.
up playing out in the end. So at this point, Lisa kind of says to Natalie, like, hey girl, we were all in the room, you, me, and Tara, and I and Tara heard you say that we killed so and so.
Yeah.
And Tara kind of,
She didn't have her back. She pulled a Candace.
it was very
Like,
lukewarm.
I ain't say it like that.
It was
Or I
very
didn't hear it.
lukewarm.
I didn't hear it.
It was not the endorsement that clearly would go to sway people. So then Rob pipes up. Rob, who again is a traitor. I feel like I need to keep saying that because he's acting like he's not.
Exactly.
So Rob says, let's take the emotions out of the equation. What would Natalie's motive be to make a spectacle out of the situation? The situation, of course, being where she takes the potion from Tara, more or less. And he says, as faithfuls, we don't know if anyone is lying, but we know that Yam Yam is a faithful. So why would Yam Yam lie about Lisa being the one who killed him in plain sight? Which is a good argument.
It's a good argument because Lisa's a traitor, but people be wrong every day. Think about how many faithful went home with the wrong,
being loud and
wrong. Being loud and wrong, writing down the wrong person's name. So I think that's an angle. But Rob knowing that he's going after a fellow traitor, and once that person is exposed, it makes him look even better.
Yeah.
So Rob is playing it from a smart position, but objectively, people do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Michael left the house thinking Colton's a traitor.
That's facts. So the vote begins. As you would suspect, Lisa has the majority of the
Mm-hmm.
votes. The weirdest vote in this roundtable
Boy.
is Candace voting for Rob. So Candace starts to say, I don't think that Lisa's a traitor. Natalie, I don't think that you're a traitor. So I'm going to do a throwaway vote. I'm going to choose Rob. Bruh. This to me is a declaration of war.
Yeah, yeah, it's war. I think that last week, if you remember the look that Candace had on her face when Rob wrote Lisa's name down, Candace couldn't wait to vote Rob. Candace, I think she walked to that
Yeah.
round table knowing that, hey, Lisa's about to lose, so I'm declaring war on my fellow traitor and really just putting it out there. Hey, nobody else has voted Rob but Candace.
Nobody's ever suspected Rob.
Exactly.
I think that both of them are playing pretty good games. Like nobody suspects either of them, to be honest. And I think that Candace voting for Rob is the first speck on Rob's name. The issue, though, is that Rob has a lot of influence. So if she takes any missteps, if he decides to pull the trigger on her, it gets Colton and his bloodhounds on Candace, it's a wrap.
Yes, but I also think that Candace has influence as
She
well.
does. She does.
And, I think
She
she
does.
will be able to play it from a position of, hey, Rob, you have been laid in the background. You've been kind of quiet. You are playing the perfect traitor game. Now, what's going to hurt Candace and what's going to ultimately send her home is Rob has that dagger. So Rob is going to throw them two votes at her, and she's going to be done. So I think that she's just, like a good captain on every ship. She's going down with the ship. She's going to try to take Rob down with her because she knows she's going down.
Yeah, and I think that the thing is, though, she didn't have to.
No.
I think that without this vote, she could have withstood the charge, especially considering the conversation that we're going to hear after the banishment. So Lisa is banished. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. She had it coming.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So after the banishment, now the conversations are starting to be had because people are asking Candace, like, girl.
Yeah, Christian comes up to her like, hey, Rob, what are you thinking about that? And I think it was a look that Christian received from Candace that kind of let her know that, I'm kind of suspicious of her. And then, later on down the line, Johnny had a conversation with Candace as well and he said, hey, I really haven't been able to trust Rob. Mm-hmm. Right. And you think about it, Johnny is tied in with Tara, who yes. I believe they could also influence to go against Rob. The thing is, those two votes are going to be casted out, so you're going to need
that is true.
somebody else to kind of hear her out. But I do think that war has been declared.
I agree. Also, at this point, Colton is so arrogant at this point. So he feels that he has led the charge against Lisa, which I guess he did the week before. But he knows he's getting more influence because he finally shot and made the 3 child. Like he finally got one in. Colton now is turning his sights to Steven, which is interesting because Steven, I thought was his, I thought that was his friend.
Yeah.
Like you said, Johnny kind of starts to tell Candace about his list as well. So Colton is, I think he's saying, is kind of at the top of his list. Steven has also now made the list. And now Rob, I think because of Candace's vote and Candace's influence, is also on that list as well. So we're going to see how this ends up playing out in the coming weeks.
Yeah. So before we wrap it up, tell me, what are your predictions for next week? Because they kind of left it in a cliffhanger. Yeah. We didn't get to see the turret because we understand it's about to be war in that turret. You think they're gonna recruit another traitor? Do you think they're gonna make a murder? What do you think is gonna go on?
I think there's war in the turret. I think that if I were them, I would not recruit. I would murder. And if I'm Candace specifically, I'm getting out one of Rob's numbers. So that means for me, it has to be either Colton, Mora, Eric. It's got to be one of them because to me, that side of the house needs to go. Lisa was a number for Candace. So at this point, again, Rob, you have to come up with one of those numbers. You just have to. I'm not recruiting another traitor.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And I think if I'm Rob, you have to try to influence Candace to vote off, either Tara or Johnny. I think that those are his two biggest enemies in a sense, two people, or maybe even Christian, somebody that has kind of been lurking in the background, not necessarily working with them. I think Rob is super focused on Colton and that influence because he's kind of, latching himself onto Colton because he's seen what he's done at a round table. So, try to get somebody that's the number to Candace.
Yeah, and honestly, ultimately, Colton is a shield for Rob.
Yeah, he is
because they're kind of in the same ilk of person as it pertains to the castle. So it's like if Colton goes, I think that that allows people to start looking at Rob a little bit more closely.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. But as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and thank you. We'll see you next week.
Peace.